So you have a passion for hypnosis itself, a love for it. It sounds like you're almost an evangelist for the craft.
Yes, it goes because I look at it like this: every single person on the planet needs a hypnotist. There's no person who doesn't. A hypnotist should just be like your doctor, your lawyer, your financial advisor, your accountant, your hypnotist. He should be on the same list. He should be on the top 10 of your speed dial on your phone.
All right, we are back with the return guest, Rich Guzzi. How are you doing?
Fantastic, Eric.
It's good to see you. Last time I saw you with our mutual friend Chase Hughes,
Yes.
and we talked a bit about hypnosis, PTSD, fetishes, all kinds of stuff. And you talked a little bit about your origin story. I'm wondering if you can repeat again your origin story, because you're a comedian who became a hypnotist versus a
Right.
hypnotist who became a comedian. What
Correct.
exactly happened?
All right. So, strictly by accident, again, somebody's watching over me. I'm kind of guided. So I've been very lucky my entire life. Yes, I was a comedian. I'm doing stand up. I'm traveling the country. I'm doing okay. I'm not going gangbusters, but I'm a headliner around the country. Playing good clubs, and I'm playing Rascals Comedy Club in Ocean Township, New Jersey, which is a pretty big deal. It's a big club, and all the greats would play there, like Sam Kinison, Andrew Dice Clay, Damon Wayans, all the big players have played there. And this is my week. I'm working there. I walk in, and Sandy DePerna, the club manager, says, "Hey, Rich, how you doing? We were friends for a long time. We're chatting it up." And she says, "Hey, did you hear Otto and George on the Howard Stern show this morning?" I said, "Yeah, I did. He was out of control." She goes, "Oh yeah, Ed went crazy. Ed Rodriguez was the guy who bought Rascals off the Magnuson brothers." And he goes, "Yeah, Ed went crazy. We had to fire Otto and George because he went nuts. In fact, his manager was with him, Joe Miller. We have to fire all Joe Miller's acts. So no more Otto and George, no more." So I had to fire everybody. Even had to fire poor Denny Moore, the hypnotist. And I got to find another hypnotist. And I don't even know why. I said, I think it was just goofing around. I said, "Well, I could do the hypnotizing show for you." She goes, "You could do the hypnotizing show?" I says, "Yeah, I do the psychic guy. Like, remember the John Edwards, the psychic guy, would do like crossing over. So I used to have this mock psychic bit in my act where I'd be doing these goofy psychic readings. And people would come to my show just to get the goofy psychic readings. It was stupid. So I said, "Yeah, I do the psychic guy. Hypnotizing's the same thing." She takes me back, opens the book up, and she says, "Here's the week." I said, "I got that week open, and it's like 3 times the money I would normally make." I guess the hypnotizing guy got paid a lot of money. So I'm like, "Okay, I'll take it." So I take the gig. I drive home that night because I was living on Long Island. And I go to myself, "Well, better learn how to do the hypnotizing show," because I didn't know nothing about hypnosis, right? So I'm like, "Oh man." So I went and started reading some books. I went and took a hypnosis course. And I remember coming back from the course saying, "Man, I'm in big trouble because this is all nonsense. It's all fake." So I'm practicing all the stuff they taught me, and I'm trying to put it all together, make a show at it. And I said, "Well, I got to turn this into a show." They only got 6 weeks to prepare, from the time I agreed to it till the time the gig's going to come up. So I got to do a practice show. It's got to be in a place where if it goes belly up, nobody's going to hear about it. So I said, "Well, like, hey, never work in Muskegon, Michigan ever again." That situation. So I booked this gig in Muskegon, Michigan. So the guy sells like $305 tickets for the show, and I do the show, and it actually works. And I'm like, "Holy mackerel, this is actually real." And I remember I was so wired up that I was going to St. Louis the next day. I actually drove to St. Louis that night because I couldn't even fall asleep. I was so wired up. I did another practice show in Altoona, Pennsylvania. So I had 2 under my belt. Then Rascals comes up, 6 weeks. I'm into it, practicing, and I'm hypnotizing everybody after all my regular comedy shows, practicing all my techniques. Who shows up the first night? Denny Moore, the hypnotist, and his manager. And I'm like, "Oh man, now they're here to scrutinize me." And I'm like, "Oh, they know what they're doing. They're professional. I don't know what about. I don't really know this stuff." And it's in retrospect, it's a smart move. I screw up, they save the day, get their gig back. I get it. So my plan is, I'm already a great comedian. I'm going to go on stage. It's a packed house, by the way. It's a Wednesday night packed house. Rascals goes Wednesday to Sunday, 7 shows you got to do. So I'm going to do my regular stand up material up front, get the crowd on my side. I'm going to bring up as many people as I can fit on the stage. hypnotize them, see what happens. That's the show. Okay, good. I do 15 minutes up front. I killed the crowd. Everybody's having a good time. Hey, you want to be hypnotized? I literally had people sitting everywhere. I mean, there was bodies everywhere on these chairs. And I brought 20 people up. 4 people got hypnotized really deep. Ended up with 4 out of 20. But they were good subjects. And I was able to do the show with the 4. And the show went off without a hitch. The crowd had a good time. They left in the middle of the show. They said, he's got it. Let's get out of here. They left. And the rest is history. I did my 7 shows that week. I got paid. I think they gave me $3,000 to do the week, and that's the most money I'd ever made at that point doing shows, like 30 years ago. And I just figured I dodged a bullet. I just figured, all right, I got out of this. Here's the weird thing that happened. The next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I booked in like 6 months worth of work. That's how fast the word traveled. And everybody said, hey, I heard you could do the hypnotizing show. And I'm like, I guess. And they offered me more money than I would normally get for comedy. And then I started taking more and more of the hypnotizing gigs. And next thing you know, I fell to the dark side. I'm like, all right. And within a year or two, I was doing any more comedy shows. I was just doing hypnotizing shows. And here I am 30 years later, still doing it. So, but I learned a lot across, along the way. I would do this good energy affirmation at the end of the show to emerge the subjects. And I remember I was in El Paso, Texas, and this woman calls up in the middle of the night. She says, hey, my husband was on your show tonight, and I don't know what you did to him, but he's a changed man. He came back from the war, and he hasn't been able to sleep in the bed for 3 years because he has these night tremors. He's always scared about attacking me in the middle of the night. She says, but somehow he changed because he was different on the drive home tonight. And now he's sleeping in the bed and he's perfect. I got my husband back. My kids got their dad back. And I was like, wow, there's more to this show than just, funny stuff. People are actually getting significant benefits from it. So I started adding more of the inspirational message to it, adding more of the self-help aspect. And then next thing you know, coaching and training, and my whole career took off kind of, again, all by accident. It just was like a step-by-step progression. And here I am, helping people all over the world doing this show. So
okay, going back in time, I'm curious on a couple things. Like, number one, you didn't really believe in it, even when you were reading on it, taking courses, whatever. What were your plans if it in fact was bullshit? Were you planning to do a show and then make a joke out of your failure?
exactly, I was going to just do the show as they taught me how to do it. As the books were saying to do it. Here's what you should do. And just get out of this. I don't. I just have to do, because I saw other hypnosis shows. I was in a hypnosis show even further back, about 40 years ago. I was in a hypnosis show myself, so I've seen them. My ex-wife told me, she says, we have a hypnotist at the club. She was the manager at the comedy club. She says, you got to see this. This is crazy. I went down and watched it, and I'm like, this can't be real. I came back the next night and volunteered. So I had seen hypnosis shows. I had been experienced. I've had experience with them. So I just figured what I'll do is I'll just do what they're doing just to get out of this. I'll get paid the $3,000 and I'll dodge a bullet. So that was the plan. Actually, it was just kind of like I was at the seat of my pants. I was young. I was 30 years old.
Okay, well, I'm going to make a guess that learning how to ply a craft such as that in 6 weeks at a professional level, which you had to be to pull off the act itself, is a bit unusual.
Yes, extremely. Because now that I teach it, I realize that, man, that could have went bad very easily. Because I'm a serious professional now. I know exactly how this stuff works. And 6 weeks to prepare to do that show, and especially at that location, at that level, was a ridiculous undertaking. Now that I look at it, and I really did dodge a major bullet on that one, because if there's so many ways that could have went belly up,
But it
so
didn't. And my theory is this. I don't know where I'm going with this, something that's popped in my head, and it can be completely off base. I think that jokes are hypnosis. And by that, isn't a joke where you're telling a story or a premise or something and then you hit them with a pattern interrupt and that's causing the laughter?
Absolutely. There's no, yeah, there's actually, you know what? I never thought of it like that, but that's exactly what it is. You know, it's a surprise ending. You know, you're not expecting that to come. You know, it's like, yeah, the surprise ending is what causes the laugh to happen. And yeah, you're right. It is. I never thought of it like that. It's actually quite interesting.
So is it possible that you had 10 years of comedy training and that pattern interrupt and you were able to absorb or see a pattern in order to more quickly pick up that skill?
Yep. You know what, thinking back like that, that makes a lot of sense. You know, because I was a professional comedian for 10 years before that, and you know the defense mechanisms from getting beat up as a kid by my mom. You know, learning how to do like profiling and moving. You know, getting in and out of trouble very easily. Um, yeah, a lot of those skill sets in my is just living through life and getting through life made me kind of a natural at doing this particular job, this skill set.
Okay. And I wanted to go further because I was thinking about it as I explored the thesis. There's a term I believe called rolling the crowd
Mhm.
that comics will sometimes do, especially if they're angry at an audience, where they will lay a joke and before they can get the laugh done, they lay another one in and literally cause the audience to seize in laughter over
Yeah,
time. Have you ever heard of that?
yeah. It's like almost like hitting a speed bag. You know, so here's zero laughs. Like so, this is the table. Here's zero laughs. Here's the crowd is laughing hysterically. The timing, when they say timing is everything, it's true. You know, so the objective is get them to laugh really loud like this, hard. And then the laugh comes down like this. You want to say the next joke, and pow, the laugh will come back up here again. If you let the laugh come all the way down here again, then the power of the material needs to be better to get them to go from here to here than it does to get them from here to here. So the objective is to get them here, and then all of a sudden, all you need is a little bit of thing to make it go make like this and get the snap happening. So it's almost like it's like you're hitting a speed bag, and continuously. It could be literally one word makes the next thing happen. So it could be literally a one word punchline. So I call it the holy grail of comedy, like is the run on sentence, where you have one word tops on top of another word, you make it more and more ridiculous. So you'll have something that so you make a premise where they totally understand it 100%. Like oh yeah, you know what? It's tough being newly single because you have to carry a lot more stuff just because you don't know who you're going to meet out in the field. Like you have to carry gum and mints now because you want to make sure you have fresh breath all the time. Got to carry cologne. You want to make sure you smell good. Got to carry condoms just in case you hook up. You want to be safe. You want to carry maybe a pair of handcuffs just in case she's kinky. Then you need I carry a vibrator. I got a motorized tongue. I got a blow up doll. I got a blow up sheep. I got the butt plugs. Then I got the gerbil. Then he's got all his stuff. You got the little the cage that he runs on. Toilet paper tube. He go up. He can breathe. Right. So by having the run-on sentence, you make it more and more ridiculous, and all of a sudden now you get that speed bag thing happening, and it goes bop 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 bop. So now, by itself, the words aren't really funny, but to the audience, that extra tag pop hits it again, hits it again, hits it again. And it's almost like, yeah, it's actually, I never thought of it like this, but it's true. It's like the fractionation in hypnosis. You keep fractionating the subject to get them deeper and deeper. Yeah, it's a very cool observation, actually.
Well, thank you. And I was also thinking that one thing I've noticed is if it's impossible to be angry if you're laughing.
Yeah, it's
The
true.
laughter is like kryptonite in a good way, but it dissolves a person's will.
It definitely has them lower the guard down. It makes them, it takes the defenses down for sure. It defuses
And
a lot of situations. Comedy is gold.
now, do you find that particularly helpful? Because I'm guessing you have a time limit. You've got to get people under and moving quickly because, I mean,
Correct.
otherwise the show,
Yeah,
I don't want to sit there saying, okay, everybody go down. And then, 20 minutes you're doing an induction. That would be kind of a
absolutely.
boring show.
Absolutely, no question about it. I always tell all my students about when I'm teaching them how to do hypnosis, how to do a hypnosis show, just how to do a hypnosis session. The pre-talk is the key ingredient to everything. You get that pre-talk right, 80% of your job is done. And a big part of that, so for a comedy show, you want to have the crowd being entertained, laughing, having a good time. Lots of spitting a lot of plates. You got to get used to your voice. You got to get them laughing, having a good time. You got to do an involvement device where you can turning them all into a crowd, doing all the same thing at the same exact time. You got to give them the benefits. You got to take away the fears, give them the rules. Here's the people we want on stage. Here's the people we don't want on stage. So all that pre-talk, and it's got to be comedy material on hypnosis. A comedian gets 8 laughs a minute. That's what a headlining comedian's getting. So if I'm doing a 7 minute pre-talk at a comedy hypnosis show, right, I got to get like 50 or so laughs in that time frame. Otherwise, it's bombing as a comedian. Now, I've seen lots of people do hypnosis shows where they're getting almost no laughs up front in the pre-talk, and then you're starting at a deficit. It's like a bank account. You're starting in negative territory. So I don't like that. I don't, and exact same thing when you're out in the field. If you're talking to people and you're defusing them with laughing and having a good time, and you're pre-talking about whatever the subject is, it gives you a massive advantage.
And I was going to say, does a comedy actually in of itself make it more effective? And by that, I mean, if somebody's laughing, they're actually complying with you and they don't even know it.
Yeah, and it's also for some reason it's getting that energy flowing. It's getting, and I'm a big energy guy. Like, even though, like, I'm a very skeptical New Yorker guy. I see the energy happening and moving all the time, and that laughter is inducing an energy, and it's getting the energy flowing in the subject or the people around you, and it's going to make them easier to hypnotize because it's already turning it on. Their guard is down.
And I'm wondering if you're slipping in induction
Oh yeah,
amongst your
yeah.
jokes.
And again, that's the technique, later on down the pike that I've developed, where as I'm speaking, even in the pre-talk, I'm already pre-hypnotizing everybody. Even when I'm giving rules and regulations to the audience, here's what you should do. Turn off your cell phones, whatever. I'm pre-hypnotizing the entire group and making it where the people in the audience are accidentally going to get hypnotized. So, and again, that makes the three-ring circus. You got people on stage, you got people in the audience, getting hypnotized too. Everybody's like, "Whoa, this is crazy! What's going on here?"
So you mean accidentally on purpose?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, accidentally get knocked out.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What At what point did you feel like you were doing this? Like, I'm trying to think of how to word it. When you feel like I got this, I know what's actually happening. I'm feeling it. Is there a higher level communication between you and the other person, and you felt something click, or what was that like?
All right. So a long time ago, um, when I really started becoming prominent in the game, you would do bigger and bigger venues, and the venues would then have media set up for you because they have relationships in every city. Like, you go to, like, Huntsville, Alabama. The comedy club has a relationship with the television and radio shows in the area, and they put the comedian on because they want to sell tickets, obviously. So that's why I ended up being on TV and radio over 1,000 times because every week you go to like multiple venues to do media. So I'm doing it, and as a comedian, I would do it, and they just want you to be funny, just tell jokes, and they're interviewing you, you're telling some stories, everybody's laughing, having a good time. Well, as the hypnotist, they want you to hypnotize somebody, and a lot of times you go on these shows, and it's got, like, a shock jock or something like that, and they want you to hypnotize some intern who's terrified, and he doesn't want you to be hypnotized because he knows what's going to happen. They're going to throw him into the meat grinder, and all kinds of crazy stuff's going to happen. So now it became very difficult to hypnotize those subjects. And I had to figure out a way how to knock these people out, because I was going in early. So radio, especially radio and TV, is early in the morning, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. 8 was like a late show. So that means I have to get there at like 6 o'clock to pre-hypnotize everybody so that we make sure they're good enough to do the show. And I'm like, this is for the bird. All right, this is I mean, because I hate waking up early in the morning. I'm a late night guy. And I played in the band before I was even a comedian. So I'm used to going, I like to go to bed at 2 o'clock. I like to wake up at 10. That's my schedule. So just waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do 6 o'clock radio, this is not for me. I got to come up with a better plan. So I'm talking to everybody, and this is early on in my career. So I'm talking to all these other professional hypnotizing guys. How do we get people who don't want to be hypnotized hypnotized? And not one of them had an answer. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is the best minds in the business. This is the best of the best, cream of the crop. And there's nothing out there to do something like I want to do here, where I can just instantaneously knock people out, not even want to be hypnotized. What do I got to do? And nobody had anything. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm on my own. And that was a major switching point for me because I'm saying, all right, you know what? It's basically I'm on my own here. I'm not following any hypnotist. I'm just going to do my own thing, and I'm going to figure it all out. And through process practicing and being a scientist every night at my shows, I figured things out. So the same exact way I practiced for 6 weeks to get a hypnotizing show done, now I'm practicing to be able to knock people out instantaneously. And I developed some really crazy good induction techniques to put people out mechanically. But then what I found out and what really clicked it for me was I'll never forget, I was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm doing a show and I'm doing the drunk routine where they're all drunk. Meanwhile, they only have their hand is like holding air, but they think they're drinking. And I'm like, you're so drunk you can't even say your name. Try and say your name. And I would go up to, put the microphone in the guy's mouth. And the guy slurring his words. Everybody starts laughing. So there was this big guy on chair number one, which is on this side of the stage here. Try and say your name, right? You're so drunk you can't even say your name. The guy's, but meanwhile, there's a little girl laying on him, also doing the same thing, and she's going, Larry, Larry. She's saying Larry. But meanwhile, the audience can't hear it because everybody's laughing really loud, but I can hear it because I'm right on her. And I'm like, how is this girl's name Larry? It's not Larry. What's what? I didn't think anything of it. I finish up the show, and at the end, I'm doing some post-hypnotic suggestions, fooling around with the subjects. Turns out the big guy's name was Larry. And I realized that she was picking up his subconscious mind. Of course, when I went back and I watched the video, the way I worded it, you're so drunk you can't even say your name. Try and say your name. She was trying to say his name because he couldn't say it. And now she was picking up his subconscious. So it's just like in Think and Grow Rich when Napoleon Hill says how the subconscious minds can talk to each other, and it's almost like running batteries in succession. Two minds actually make a third mind. And I said, it's the exact same principle, exact same concept here. Let's start exploring this. So I started exploring the phenomenon and recreating it. And it turns out that the easiest way to hypnotize a subject who does not want to be hypnotized is to use somebody else's hypnotic energy to knock that person out.
So it's like you're hypnotizing the person next to them and it winds up hitting them.
The energy can now be transferred from one to the other. So I said, okay, so once I figured that out, let's take it one step further than that. Use yourself as the energy conduit and just impose your will upon them. And then you instantly become like a superhero. You have a superpower. You can literally take your energy, influence them, and knock them out simply by being the person. And that was the final. That was the final stage. And at that point, it was just practicing it and honing it down, getting good at it.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, I'm curious because what
The
you're
energy.
doing on the stage seems similar to street hypnosis or things that Darren Brown is doing. Is he practicing the same type of technique, or are there different ways to achieve the same effect?
I've watched a lot of Darren Brown's materials. I actually like him a lot. I think he's extremely entertaining. I think he's extremely talented. Obviously, I mean, like, very very cool guy to watch. I would love to meet him one day. Um, he's probably doing something extremely similar, probably in a different way. But yes, in fact, I was teaching my gorilla hypnosis class a couple of weeks ago, as a post conference class at Hypno Thoughts Live, and there was one girl in the class, a professional, um, and she was not having any of this hypnosis stuff. She wanted to learn how to do it, but she was not letting anybody hypnotize her. And
Mm.
everybody in the room, when they were practicing, nobody can get her out. So now, at that point, I got to make sure I can knock her. I knock her out before the class is over. So I was setting her up the entire time. It was almost like a
Hmm.
2 day induction because I was chipping away at her a little at a time because I knew I was going to get her. But she just didn't know when it was going to happen. And what I did was I hypnotized the guy next to her using the energy transfer induction first, got him going, and then transferred the energy from him into her to knock her out. And I finally, and then we knocked her out, and it was really funny to watch. It turned into be a really cool video, because somebody actually took the video camera and turned it around. We actually were able to videotape the entire thing, so it was pretty entertaining. I'll send you a copy of that. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
When you
please
see
do.
it happen. But yeah, that was the way we ended up getting her. We transferred the energy from one to the other.
I'm curious about that though. When you said you had to make sure you got her knocked out, is there a reason you want to make sure that every student is in fact a subject during the class?
Yes, because I want them to all understand that it is real and it works. Um, I always tell my students, like let's say you're a comedy hypnotist,
Mhm.
but it's actually all hypnosis on a macro scale. The most important thing about everything that we do is that the audience believes that hypnosis is real. So every decision, and there's thousands of decisions that have to be made during the show. Here's the way you make your decision process. Number one, if I do this, I'm about to do this. If I do this, is the audience going to believe hypnosis is real, more or less? And the same exact thing happens with the subject in an office. The general public at large, you talk to, you could go out to the mall and talk to 1,000 people, do an interview with them. Tell me everything you know about hypnosis. Most people don't know anything about it. A hypnotist has the experience and knowledge of being a hypnotist. So he knows that on the Esdale scale, there's 0 to 6, all right? 0 being not hypnotized, 6 being very deep. There's lower levels than that, by the way. I've found deeper levels than 6 because 6 is hypnotizing negative. There's levels even below that now. So, but the general public at large doesn't even understand what hypnosis is. But meanwhile, we know that at level 3 and 4, you can get people to quit smoking, lose weight, get all the results done. But the general public only knows about hypnosis what they see on TV and in the movies. They want to see zombies. If you don't give them zombies, they dismiss it as it's not real. So even in a clinical setting, I make sure that everybody who's one of my disciples, one of my hypnosis students, gets that subject so deep that there's no question in their mind that they were knocked out, that they were gone. So, that's what's really going to raise hypnosis and put it on the map. If all the hypnotists were able to do that, where they sent every client out of that building saying to themselves, "Oh, I was out. There's no question about it," then hypnosis will be on the map. And until that happens, it's never going to happen.
So you have a passion for hypnosis itself, a love for it. It sounds like you're almost an evangelist for the craft.
Yes, because I look at it like this: every single person on the planet needs a hypnotist. There's no person who doesn't. A hypnotist should just be like your doctor, your lawyer, your financial advisor, your accountant, your hypnotist. You should be on the same list. You should be on the top 10 of your speed dial on your phone. Every person needs it. Every last person on the planet. The world would be 1,000 times better place if everybody used hypnosis to make their life better. It's the number one tool, the number one resource you have available in your life to make your life better. So that being said, there should be hypnotists on every corner in every city in the country, every city in the world. Meanwhile, it's a last resort at best. You really want to make the world a better place? Put hypnosis on the map and let everybody start doing it. and the world will change. Trust me. There's not even a question. All bad things will go away. Most people's problems are from trauma that happened 12 years old and less.
When did you discover this? It was it the El Paso incident that took you on this path to believe
That was
that
the
it could
first.
save the world?
Yeah, that was the first thing that got me where my radar was now up. I'm like, I'm more than just a comedian. There's more to it than just making people. I just thought, listen, I'm doing a service, making people laugh, having a good time, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and I thought that was the end all end all. That's what they pay me to do. They pay me to be a comedian, make entertain people. But
Sure.
now ancillary benefit, that was the thing. That was the changing. That was the changing part for me right there.
Now, how has it changed your life personally? Do you make sure that you are out? Are you going to chase and making sure that he knocks you out and you're experiencing this to stay fresh?
Yeah, exactly. If you have a hypnotist friend, a buddy who's good at it, and will take you to that spot, that's fantastic. I practice self hypnosis, so that way I can do it myself, kind of like a deeper level of a guided meditation. People meditate. They light the candle. They turn the music on. They do a little of that, and then I'm a big proponent of making audio programs. I like making audio programs that I can listen to. I load them on my phone, and that way I have them all the time. And so whatever I'm working on, whatever I'm deciding, whatever skill sets I want to get really good at, I'll make custom audio programs for myself to motivate me to make sure I can do all those items. I'm a pretty meticulous character, kind of like Chase in the way where we think things out, we figure out the plan, and I relentlessly go start attacking that plan.
Okay, well, that's something I used to do, and I would just say subliminals or whatever. When I was studying for different tech exams and things like that, I would record the concepts and in audio format, and I would listen to it every day before I went to sleep.
Yeah,
And I felt that even if I'm asleep, the concepts are seeping into my brain. Is that similar to what you're describing?
exactly. It's very similar. It's in fact it's the cornerstone to a lot of the work I do. Even when you're sleeping, that mind is still on. It's still working. It's still cruising away, and you have that background stuff. That's why falling asleep to television is so bad. Who knows what happens? You're watching the show, you fall asleep. Next thing you know, the station programming runs out. They're having all these kinds of infomercials. You want to buy a George Foreman grill. You got yourself a pocket fisherman. you buy because all these infomercials are now putting stuff in your head. Or next thing you know, there's some type of war movie on, and there's guns and stuff blasting in the background. Who knows what's getting funneled in there? So yeah, I'm a big proponent of listening to great stuff when you go to sleep.
This I'm going to take a segue here, but I have a friend, online friend, Kira the Dawn. He has created a genre of music that he calls meaning wave, and he will take like a Jordan Peterson lecture, about something in life or what have you, and he lays it over a trip hop track. So it's like a philosophical lecture. He does Marcus Aurelius. I mean, a lot of different things over this track. And he stated that he came up with this idea because when he was coming up as a DJ, his life was kind of garbage. It was just, it was bad. Like everybody's out to get you. Only the rich are having this. You have no chance for surviving. And he realized that he had been listening to an artist who was a spoken word artist. And the guy's messages were dark like that, like the world is just crap, rich or mean, all this stuff. And he came to this weird conclusion, like, what if I take a positive message, lay it over a trip hop track? And his theory is that while you can listen to a lecture one time, maybe even a handful of times, whatever it is, you can listen to a song 1,000 times and not get sick of it. Do you see any merit in this, or is this a form of hypnosis?
It's another form of hypnosis, absolutely, and it's a very brilliant idea, actually. Kudos to him because it's a brilliant idea. Because also what he's doing is he's creating an anchor. Because A lot of the music he plays as a DJ was some of that other music with those tracks, and it was obviously influenced him. He
Mhm.
obviously knows it. He recognized the fact that this type of music influenced him. So now what he's doing is he's getting the same exact music, anchoring it in. So now his brain is firing like, say, this is influential music, but now the words are different, and now he's getting a new message. So it's a brilliant, brilliant concept. I love it actually. In fact, I might do something like that myself. Make some of those for myself. That's a great idea.
Awesome. And that's what I was wondering, because as you were describing this, I was thinking DIY hypnosis or self improvement. Can you recommend that everybody just do this for themselves, to take their
There's
phone and just record what they're trying to accomplish, or what they're trying to remember, or whatever else, and just maybe get in the habit of doing it?
Absolutely. It's there's no question about it that that's very valuable, and always do it from the positive. You know, like don't say something like I am not going to eat bad food anymore. Instead, do it from the positive aspect. I only eat healthy food. My body becomes better and better. So be careful on the way you word it. Now, will the negative work? Yeah, it'll work also. But the positive aspect is always more powerful. So always put your affirmations in the positive light.
I've okay. On that note, I've talked to different NLP people, and they're very, very big on that concept. And with the theory, they're saying that the brain doesn't recognize the negative in there; it only takes forth the message. So, my friend Dave Fries, as an example, he says, "Don't spill that milk." He said, "Your brain only hears spill the milk; it doesn't hear the don't." And that's the problem with wording it wrong, versus carry the tray, hold it steady, and walk across the room with the milk.
No question about it. And he's again obviously a professional. Uh, that's why hallucinating positive is easier than hallucinating negative. That's why on the scale, it's six is his lowest number. Yes, and then now it's actually gotten worse because now with the advent of social media and us on the phone all day going like this scanning, your brain is used to scanning. It's very good at scanning stuff. So your brain will only pick up the exact statement what you're talking about. Spill the milk. It picks it up that way. So yes, the positive affirmation is always the best path to go, because that way you're guaranteed to get the good stuff in there. So even your scanning brain will scan good stuff. It's all good stuff at this point. It's the better path for sure.
Okay, now you kind of slipped into Napoleon Hill, which I thought was surprising. That makes me think the law of attraction must be something you've looked into a little bit. Um, I've been interested in some of that, and somebody broke it down. I forgot his name, Jim somebody, but he was saying we have a problem understanding the order of things with the law of attraction. And as he put it, people like to get in the mindset of have, be, do, but it really should be um, be, do, have. And let me break it down further. It's essentially they think, okay, when I have this success, then I can do these things. And he's saying, no, you really should do the things as if you were successful. If you act as if you were successful, then the other things will come to you. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it's fairly close. It's fairly close. I mean, I learned this from a bum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So it's interesting. This is a little bit of a long. This is a little bit of a longer story. I don't know if I want to go through the whole thing. Um, but the secret ingredient to the law of attraction, the secret ingredient to like Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, the secret to like James Allen as a man thinketh is yes. You have that you act as if, but it's more to it than that. They say, oh, fake it till you make it. The sabotage effect in most people, like 99% of all people's brains, will cause that not to work. Unwavering faith and belief is the secret ingredient. So you have to know without a shadow of a doubt that this is possible. You have an exact goal, an exact time and date when you're going to do that goal, emotional charge to that goal, emotionally what's going to charge it, and then you saying to yourself, yeah, I could do this. Yep, I got this. That's all the secret. That's all the pieces of the puzzle you need to get accomplish anything you want. The the mere, like, acting as if is so difficult for the general practitioner, the general person at large, that's the reason why it's not going to work. So yes, if you can do that, that's gonna give you the success. It's gonna give you exactly what you want. But that unwavering faith, that I saw the guy from Spokane, Washington, or Dubuque, Iowa, says I'm gonna go to Hollywood, become a movie star. So they move out to California. They live there for about 5 years. They take some acting roles, take some acting lessons. Da 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 da. They do it. Doesn't work out. They move back. They move back to Dubuque, Iowa. What happened? I thought you were going to be a movie star. I gave it 5 years and it didn't work, so I'm back. The same exact reason they came back is the exact same reason they never became a movie star in the first place. I'm going to go to Hollywood and become a movie star. I'm not coming back till I'm going to become a movie star. That's it. Foregone conclusion. So that right there is a very difficult task. It's a very tall order. It's hard. Most people are not going to get that. Most people are not going to get that right. So the only way you're going to get that right, and again, is where hypnosis comes into play. On a hypnosis show, I can talk you into anything. I can tell you you're a rapper and you're a star and you're going to rap in a foreign language. And you'll do it in front of 300 strangers. If I can get you to do all that wacky stuff on stage, I can easily get you to believe that this goal is possible. That extra secret ingredient gets you what you want to get. I learned it from the bum. I learned it from the bum. I'll tell you the short version of the story. So I'm walking out of Milwaukee. I had just gotten. It was Sunday morning, and I was in the comedy condo, which is across the street from the comedy club. And I'm walking out of the condo, and I have two roller bags. I got two bags over my shoulders, and I'm walking out, and this bum is walking up the street. And he goes, "Hey man, you think you give me $1 so I can put some gas in my car?" I said, "This guy ain't got no car. This guy's he's a bum." So I said, "No." And I had money in my pockets. I'm not gonna take money out of my pocket in front of this guy. I'm like, "Sir, I'm really busy. I don't have time for this right now." He goes, "Well, I'll help you with the bags. If you give me $5 for gas, all right." I'm like, "Oh, you raised me a couple of dollars now." I said, "I'll tell you what I'm gonna do." He goes, "I'm gonna give you the $5." He goes, "You're gonna give me $5?" Yes. He goes, "Want me to carry the bags? Don't touch my bags. But here's what I want you to do. My car's in this parking lot over here. I want you to wait right over here on this corner so I could just roll my passenger window down and hand the $5 out the window to you." He goes, "You gonna give me $5?" Yes, I am. So I go to my car. I pack all my bags strategically in the car. I take the money out of my pocket and put the $5 on the passenger seat. I'm really going to give him the $5. I drive up to the corner where he's supposed to be waiting because I want to make a right hand turn in that corner because that's the route to the highway. Just as I'm getting to the corner where he's supposed to be standing, which I left him at there, like literally a minute ago, 2 minutes ago, he has now walked across the street and he's got his back to me. So now I would have to actually go out of my way to go find him to give him the money. I made my right hand turn because he didn't wait. I rolled up my passenger window and I drove back to the highway. By the time before I got to the highway, there was tears rolling down my eyes because he had given me the answer to my issues, to my problems, and why I couldn't get the secret to Think and Grow Rich to work. The bum was 30 seconds away from getting the $5, but he left saying to himself, "This guy's not coming back." Success was right there. I saw the success because I was the success. He left before I got there, 30 seconds beforehand. The belief is the secret ingredient. By him not believing I was coming back, he lost the success. And since that time, everything I've ever done in my entire life, I've been able to do it, no problem. because I put those two parameters together and you have the secret ingredient to everything. Never failed ever
That
again.
is fantastic. And actually, that is the perfect place to wrap up because it is so inspirational. Now, do you offer some of this training on hypnosisworld.com? And
Yes. It's the foundation to everything I do. My thing is all about excellence. I teach people that if you are excellent, everything just comes to you automatically. I've been very lucky. Everything I've ever gone out for, it works for me because I know how to do this technique. I know how this way of life works. And it's all about showing the world that you are excellent. And you go out there, you do that, and then you have a specific goal that you want. I usually like to put a date and time on it as well, and bang, you will have it using this exact same technique. But yeah, I do hypnosis training. I show people how to be great hypnotists. I show people how to be successful in their life. I have the It Factor class, obviously, that I do, which I think is the cornerstone to all success. If you get that right, that one area of your life correct, you're going to have all the other categories in your life multiply many times over. The four things you need to be successful, the four pillars of success: your skills, marketing capability, leadership and outsourcing, It Factor. And if you're good at all four, though, you get a cumulative score of those four categories. You get 25 points in each category. You score well in those categories, your success is guaranteed. The It Factor is the secret one because the It Factor bleeds into all other categories. You have It Factor, you're better at leadership and outsourcing. You have It Factor, you're better at marketing. You have It Factor, even your skills go up because you become the guy in that field. People want to be the celebrity in their space. That's how you do it. The It Factor is the key ingredient. You do that, you have everything else. You have the keys to the kingdom.
well, you definitely have the It Factor when it comes to comedy hypnosis. And thank you so much.
Eric, it's been a pleasure as always, man. It's great seeing you. We have to do this more often. I want you to definitely come to my show in Virginia Beach.